Welcome back, everyone. So, Professor Yusuf, the former Executive Secretary of National Health Insurance, has come out again to accuse Tinubu, saying that Tinubu is using EFCC to silence him. So, according to him, the EFCC action against him are deliberate attempt to demean and also dehumanize him, that he endured 6 days in EFCC cell and 24 days in prison, apparently as a part of this government effort to intimidate and silence him, that he is not going to stop, that he will continue to criticize and also call Tinubu out because Tinubu is doing woefully. Tinubu is not doing anything for Nigerians. He only focused on 2027 election and also warned that come 2027 that the Northerners will never support Tinubu again because they are the ones that brought Tinubu in Asorok in 2023. Just take a listen and hear everything that he discussed in this particular current interview on Arise Television. Just take a listen.
Thank you for joining us. Now, we've said that Nigerians have had an interesting 2 years, but you've had an interesting couple of months because you spent time in Kuje prison. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened there? I did read your viral write-up from prison, but I want us to get a little bit of an update. What happened that led you to Kuje prison?
Yeah, Kuje for me was just a retreat for rest, prayers, and reflection. But seriously, on the 29th of January this year, at about 6:30 p.m., my wife came up to my room and said there are some gentlemen that knocked and just walked into the room, dark-suited, walked into the door. They want to see me. They said I'm expecting them. I came downstairs in my jalabia, no hat, and flip-flop. And they said they are from the EFCC. They've come to take me to the EFCC. I said, guys, you haven't even introduced yourselves. So they just brought out their badge and said, oh, they're EFCC. Show me arrest warrant. Oh, we don't need that, sir. Okay? Allow me to go upstairs, change. They blocked me. They didn't let me. Allow my wife to go upstairs and bring me some change of clothing. They refused. We went outside. As we went outside, their bus was waiting outside. The driver was sitting, the engine was running. And there were 5 armed mobile policemen, some deployed behind the house, thinking I would run. I'm not a runner. So we went in and I was sandwiched between an armed mopol and a young operative. And they were high-fiving themselves as if they had captured notorious Kachala Bello Turji. We went to the EFCC, went to the office of their boss, and he handed me a bunch of papers. What are these? These are your charges. Well, I don't need the charges if I don't have my lawyer here. Well, the guy was waiting to go home, and my battery had gone down, and I couldn't call my wife and to tell her where I was and how I was, and they wouldn't let me call her. And they just took me to the cells. Nobody had told me whether I was going to stay, why I was there, how long I was going to be there. They just took me around the building to the cells. Entered the cells, well, a lot of them were youth. They recognized me from the previous brouhahas in Nigeria. And they came up to me wishing me good luck and best wishes. I had serious headache because remember I had fasted for over 14 hours by then. I hadn't eaten or drunk anything. They brought me a sachet of pure water and tea. I drank and went to sleep. And then the next morning, they took us to, they called my name out. We were going to court. We went into the bus. Well, when we came out of the building, they had placed their official photographer to be taking photographs of me without a hat, in jalabia, in flip-flop. That was when I realized these guys are up to no good. All they're interested is to demean me, dehumanize me, and weaken my spirit. They don't know who they're dealing with. We went into the bus, and I was jokingly telling them, guys, haven't you forgotten the chains and the manacles? They busted out laughing and said, oh, our guy, it hasn't reached to that. We went to court, and they were not ready. We had to come back to the EFCC again, and they upgraded me from 4 of us in a room to I alone in a cell. I was there in the EFCC for 6 days. After that, I was arraigned in court, and then The judge did not give me bail. Her reason, well, she had a cold. I was put back to Kuje. I was in Kuje for 24 days. Denial of bail 2. Anybody accused is wrong, because bail is a constitutionally guaranteed right of anybody accused, except if it was a capital offense or the person is suspected of terrorism. Mine was neither of those. I was denied bail deliberately by this government to shake me up. And I was put in Kuje for 6 days and 24 days in EFCC for 6 days and 24 days in Kuje to shake me up and silence me. But no, I'm no one to be silenced. In Kuje prison, I wrote my experiences and told this government that 6 days in Kuje and 24 days 6 days in EFCC and 24 days in Kuje will not silence me. The whole purpose is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government trying to silence any dissent to his government. And this coming from a president who was an IDECO activist himself, who fought the military, who ran across the border and ran away from the military. And when he came back, he never gave neither Jonathan nor Obasanjo, not even Buhari, he never gave them peace. He was criticizing them. Criticizing a government in a democracy is a legitimate right of every citizen. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is trying to stifle dissent in this country and is trying to make this country a one-party dictatorial state. We are not going to let that happen. We'll continue to speak up. We'll continue to raise our voices, because silence in the face of evil is itself evil.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Prof, for giving us a context to that. I know that this case is before the court, and we may not really be able to dig deep into what happened. But then I would still like you to speak further to it. What, in your opinion, informed EFCC essentially digging up this case 8 years after you left? You are saying that it's all about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but EFCC deals essentially with financial infractions. And 8 years ago, as some people will have argued, may not be statute bound, as they say. So why do you think that this has been, dogged up 8 years after? And then secondly, if you can take that together, why did former President Buhari let you go as the executive secretary of the NHIS, given the fact that you only spent 3 years at that time? 3 years ideally will not be the tenure of an executive secretary. Were there financial impropriety? Were they fully dispensed with as at that time? Otherwise, maybe that will explain why the FCC is digging that up at this moment.
Right. So the first one, I'll tell you, the first one is already explained it. The EFCC are playing the attack dogs of this government. There is nothing. There is nothing. If the EFCC, the current leadership of the EFCC had done their due diligence, I have a huge file in the EFCC, 9 years. When I was during one of my suspensions, I was sitting in the room. I got a call from the acting chairman of the EFCC at that time, Ibrahim Magu. Never met him, never spoke with him. Called me over, come to the commission. I came to the commission. In the conference room, he had assembled his senior staff. He walked in briskly and said, "Prof," after introducing himself and the gentleman in the room, he said, "Prof, hand over all papers, all documents related to any monies, any infractions by HMO bank will get their money back." He walked away. True to his words, Ibrahim Magu's EFCC swung into action and recovered billions from banks, from HMOs, for the NHIS. And he was gracious enough when they were transferring the first tranche of money they got back to the then executive secretary. He mentioned my name and my effort, and he signed it himself, which is very unusual. He didn't have to sign it. It meant something. He signed it. It was that paper we tendered to quote, that if this gentleman was given a letter of commendation by this same commission for helping the commission to recover billions, and you're telling him he stole millions? NHIS, people don't know, Nigerians don't know, I was in control of more money in the NHIS at that time, real solid, cold, hard cash, than most governors. If I wanted to steal money, I would have done that. My fight in the NHIS was public at that time. When I came to the NHIS, nobody could tell me how much money NHIS had. The year prior, September 2025, the federal government had given a directive that all MDAs should transfer the monies from commercial banks to the TSA in the central bank. When I came, nobody could tell me. So I commissioned an independent financial firm to audit all NHIS accounts. When they presented the report to me, over 13 commercial banks were holding NHIS money in their vaults illegally, over 100 billion. That is 100 billion of Buhari's time, not Tinubu's 100 billion. Over 100 billion. I compiled that report and gave it to all the officials. I presented that to my board. I showed it to my minister. I gave it to everybody that needed to know. So it is that money that Magu's EFCC was recovering. And the HMOs, my fight with them was public, was fierce, was messy, because they were not doing what they were supposed to do. They were holding on to people's money they were supposed to pay for people's health. So my fight with them was very public, and my fight in the NHIS, in the EFCC, ICPC, even the presidency, everywhere. I didn't come to Nigeria to steal money. I have better things to do. I wasn't brought up that way, and I don't bring my children up that way. People that steal money in government do not talk. They do not speak up. They're quiet, so they don't come after them. So it's now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's time. Oh, this guy is talking too much. Get this guy, go to the EFCC, dig something up. I'm not a politician. I'm not one of those politicians that have stolen money, that you dig up things and shake him up and silence him. Speaking up, we'll continue to do that because it's our responsibility as citizens. We have seen a better Nigeria. A Nigeria we owe a debt of gratitude to. What we are seeing now, we will not allow to continue. Thank you very much. The other question, why did President Buhari let me go? Yes. Well, I had a sit-in with President Muhammadu Buhari. I was suspended in the NHIS twice. Why? Because I did not allow those that wanted to partake in the buffet of corruption I met. I didn't allow that. And they were fighting me all over the place, from the unions who were their foot soldiers, to the HMOs, to the banks, to the ministry, to the National Assembly. Everybody, instead of them to do what is right and do the job of the NHIS. The NHIS has the potential to do a lot of good. The NHIS is the CBN of healthcare. It has the potential to positively impact our people, only if that potential is harnessed. But nobody wanted to harness that. Everybody wanted to take part in that corruption. And I refused. And that was my fight. I didn't know. Unbeknownst to me, a cleric went and spoke with the president. And I would hold the name of that cleric. That was when he came back from hospital. You need to listen to this gentleman. I went and sat down with the president, and I told Mr. President, you gave me this job without knowing me, without ever seeing me. And I made a promise to God Almighty, not to you, that I was going to be a good custodian of that which I'm entrusted with. So help me God. And that is what I'm going to do. You gave me this job, Mr. President, and you have the power to fire me now, before I get out of this room. But my honor and integrity I have earned over my lifetime. And I will fight anyone who tries to impugn that. And my fight now, this going to court is a continuation of my fight in the NHIS. Anybody trying to impugn my honor and integrity, which I've earned over my lifetime, I will fight fiercely. And I will unapologetically do that fight. Just like we did in the NHIS, we'll continue to do that. Well, so why did President Muhammadu Buhari, I was suspended twice, and at the end, the DSS advised the presidency, you better handle this NHIS case, because it was heating the polity. Things were getting hot. The press, everybody was So what did they do? The SGF at that time, they gobbled up a committee they called Presidential Committee, and they sent me on what is it, leave. They called everybody. They called me. This was photographed. If they want to check it, they can go and check it. They called me. They went to the minister. They called the board. They called HMOs. They called staff of the NHIS. Everybody. President Muhammadu Buhari wanted to have a clean slate. I think he didn't have the stomach to continue the fight. When I came, I thought the fight against corruption was real. So he let everybody go. He didn't only let me go, he let the board go, and the honorable minister did not come back the second time. So it was a clean slate for everybody. So for me, fighting corruption, I've been in the trenches, and I've been doing that, and will continue to do that, and speak up against injustice and tyranny.
Thank you, Professor Usman. Now, I kind of want to...
Thank you.
I want us to go more into this, because you said at one point, you said that you had even more money than some governors in Nigeria at the NHIS. And we're facing a huge crisis in Nigeria. Lagos State alone requires 33,000 more doctors. We only have 7,000. It said that over 16,000 doctors have left Nigeria recently. And we also have cases of people being turned away at hospitals because people do not have health insurance, and hospitals are also ill-equipped. So I want you to explain to us a little bit more, because of your role at NHIS, what the failure of NHIS is, particularly when we talk about the current state of Nigeria and what it should be.
Right. I mean, when I came into the NHIS, so there are many stakeholders in the NHIS, in healthcare in Nigeria. The NHIS is supposed to be the regulator of health insurance. Other stakeholders are, of course, the HMOs, who are the middlemen. We do not give hospitals money directly. We give this middlemen, they're called HMOs, to give to hospitals. The HMOs, they are from America, where I've lived forever. Even in America, they're not popular. So this guy just went and copied and pasted. If you do not know how to paste, do not copy. They just copied and pasted whatever they want to do. So NHIS on top, the regulator, the HMOs, who is supposed to be the middleman, the hospitals who are supposed to take care of the patients, the ministry who is supposed to supervise us, the National Assembly who is supposed to oversight everybody, and of course the person who nobody is talking about. The biggest stakeholder is the patient, the person we call the enrollee, who is lost in the shuffle. So when I came, nobody is talking about the enrollee, the patient. They go to hospitals, they are not being treated with the honor and dignity they deserve. They are treated as lepers. Why? Because NHIS was not paying. Why is NHIS not paying? Is because NHIS gives money to HMOs 3 months in advance. I don't think anybody in this country, not even the president, gets paid 3 months in advance. They get paid 3 months in advance to pay hospitals. They don't pay. They were not paying. They were not paying. So I assembled all chief medical directors of hospitals in Calabar. I told them, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in the midst of friends and I can take liberty to speak the truth. Patients are complaining that you are not taking care of them. And consistently what I heard all over are HMOs are not paying us. HMOs are not paying us. And I gathered HMOs here in Abuja. I told them there's a new sheriff in town. You must pay everything. And what I did was, and all of them, almost all of them, their licenses had expired 3 years prior. And I asked people in the NHIS, would the bank deal with any bank that, would the CBN deal with any bank that is not licensed? Would a doctor go and practice if he's not licensed? Their license had expired. So I did reaccreditation, and one of the conditions of reaccreditation is that every HMO, even if you serve 1,000 hospitals, go to that CMD of each of the hospitals, get me a letter of non-indebtedness signed by that CMD. And then they started scrambling. They were going to pay off whatever debt they had. CMDs were calling me and blessing me for all of this. So we were not doing well as a regulator because the failing was the NHIS. We allowed all of the shenanigans to go ahead. The hospitals were not treating our patients well. We give NHIS money. Up to today, go and check. NHIS money sustains all tertiary hospitals in this country. The money NHIS gives them, it's a lot of money. But they were not using it for the purpose it was supposed to be, taking care of patients. They were using it to buy SUVs or build stuff. So I had to read the Riot Act to ourselves, that we have failed as a regulator. The HMOs, you cannot continue what you're doing. You must pay up all the debt to hospitals. Hospitals, you must treat patients better. And the ministry, of course, they wanted a piece of that. The National Assembly, they wanted a piece. So my fight was all over. But it was a good fight, alhamdulillah, and I will do the same again if I have a chance.
All right, Prof. Now that you seem to have concluded that what happened to you in January and all, a good chunk of February when you were incarcerated was a witch hunt, will you still be able to constructively criticize the government without you garnishing it with the fact that, you are convinced that what happened to you was a witch hunt, directly or indirectly from the government? And having said that, therefore, what will be your candid assessment of the first 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, zeroing down on 3 important factors in the lives of Nigerians? And that will be economy and the quality of life, insecurity, and then energy sufficiency, power, fuel, and all that. Just those 3, so that we can manage time.
Right, okay. Criticizing the government, I've been criticizing President Muhammadu Buhari since I left government, and President Muhammadu Buhari is from my state. So criticizing government is a constitutional right of every person. So, and criticizing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, there's no government worthy of criticizing than this government, because it's a government of now, and it's a government that has shown us more suffering than we've ever seen. So even when I was in Kuje, when they thought they would lock me up 13 hours in cell and not, I was able to write and criticize them, express my right. Back to assessing this government. Last year, this time, May last year, when they celebrated the first year, I came out and I wrote. My summary then was the government of destitution, deceit, and hopelessness. Hopelessness. They came with renewed hope. Well, now this is the second year you want us to talk about energy, you want us to talk about economy, you want us to talk about security. Let's talk about energy. Well, there was a front page story, Daily Trust the other day. Katsina, Kano, and Jigawa, they get only 2 hours of electricity. Well, the Asu Villa itself is giving up on the national grid. Is spending 10 billion of our money to go solar. Well, the Minister of Power is jumping up and down, grading A, B, C, without any sense. Grade A, you will have zone A, you will have band A, you will have 20 hours of electricity, and it's all not true. I'm on band A, I'm getting no electricity. So this part of the deceit is just continuing, and there is no strategy at all. No strategy. You just talk today and tomorrow you think we haven't been to school. We've been to a lot of school, and we can tell fiction from fact. Back to security. This is where we are. Since President Muhammadu Buhari's time, we've been talking about security because we risk our lives. In Sheikh Gumi, we went into the forest to meet many of these guys. Some of them have been killed. Why did we do that? Risk our lives at a time when the government at that time and the military and the NSA did not want us involved. We did because it's our land, it's our people, it's our responsibility. And this is what I have said. And I made a presentation to all the service chiefs at that time. They were gracious enough to allow us to talk. This is not a military problem. The banditry, I know, is not a military problem, and it can never be won on the battlefield. All these conflicts you're seeing, Benue, Plateau, Kaduna, Katsina, Zaria, whatever, even the IPOP, these are all social problems. They're not military problems. We are putting the military in very unwinnable situations. The military, the purpose, the role of the military is to provide an enabling environment for dialogue to happen. Military goes in there, woo, and comes out. But nobody is there to take care of the problem. It's not the military that created this mess. It's politicians. The military is brought to clean up after the mess of politicians. Military is deployed all over, all 36 states of this country and FCT. How many do we have? Boko Haram, 16 years. Banditry, over 11 years. Which military can stand this elasticity? Late Chief of Army Staff, General Lagbaja, said it, that his soldiers are getting battle fatigue. They are getting post-traumatic stress disorder, and some of them are resorting to drugs. Understandably, these are young men. Many from depot training, they are shipped to war front. Many have never seen the barracks. We are putting the military in unwinnable situation. Many of these conflicts are not for the military. Or you send the military in Benue and Plateau and Sokoto and Katsina, what are they going to do? Who will they kill? When we were young, this was the job of all military, of mobile police. When the mobile police come into town, the bad guys know the new sheriff is in town. But now where are mobile police? They're all here guarding Oga, his wives, and side chicks.
Yeah, I'd like to...
These are all the jobs of the military.
Professor Usman, I'd like to
go
in because, you just mentioned Benue and Plateau particularly, and you've said, you've differentiated with the role of the military and the police. Military is usually used for external security, but now we need them for internal security here in Nigeria due to, from your explanation, probably a failure of our security apparatus. But beyond that, I want to know your analysis of what we're seeing in Benue and Plateau State. Also, particularly considering the governor, Aliyah, saying that a lot of the crimes are being carried out by men who are not from the country. He said they are foreigners, they don't speak the language, and possibly not from Benue State. So do you think that there are serious brewing, discontent, particularly in the North Central?
No, we've had this music long time ago. When banditry came, they say, oh, they are from Mali, they are from this, they are from this. The guys that busted the train which we were involved in, they say they are from this, they are from this. I'm a doctor. If you don't have a diagnosis, you cannot write a prescription. So all these security issues we are doing, we do not have a diagnosis. We're just throwing lives and throwing resources. And I've said it consistently. All our security problems are local. Their solutions must be found locally. Don't go to Mali or Niger or anywhere. Look for your problems locally and solve them locally. Big plans that we've been doing for the past 20 years from Abuja have never worked and will never work. We don't learn a lesson, we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. We bring troops and all the way from Abuja, they go into Benue, they go into... The problems are in Benue, the problems are in Plateau, the problems are in Kaduna, the problems are in Katsina. It's not the military or the politicians in Abuja in their air-conditioned rooms in Abuja or the ministers that will solve those problems. It is the local, the governor, the clerics, the traditional rulers, the elders within that community must reconcile communities. It's not the job of the military. It's not the job of the NSA. It's not the job of the president. The governor, you need to sort out what the problems are in each of your state. What is in Benue is different from Plateau, different from Kaduna, different from Katsina, different from... A governor needs to understand what are the problems in my state, security problems in my state. Who are the people I need to talk to? Who are the people I need to bring? Well, from Abuja, you go and see only one community, you don't see the other, you come back, you think, no. There has to be a serious dialogue, serious reconciliation between communities. They are not from Mali or Niger. Problems are local, solutions must be found locally. But all the security problems can never be won on the battlefield. Military, we are pushing the military to do a lot of things they cannot do.
Okay, Prof, very quickly before we let you go, because we've run out of time, just very quickly, a lot of people think that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, is strategically, politically consolidating in the entire southern part of the country. What do you think will happen going forward into the electionary period? Do you foresee a situation where it will be North versus the South? There's a school of thought that says that the president will not win because it's popular, but he will return because the opposition will lose. Is that your thinking? And what will be your, candid opinion very quickly before we let you go?
Right. My candid opinion, the honest truth is that this is vintage Bola Ahmed Tinubu dividing the people. And I said up front, even before the election, I wrote a paper about Muslim ticket is neither for God nor country, but for self. The Muslim ticket, essentially what it did was to divide, cleave, put a big cleavage between Muslims and Christians in the North. And this, now he's realizing the North that voted him, people in the South are saying, oh yeah, North South, meaning he did not win in Lagos, he's in home state Lagos, but in Katsina we voted him in. So it is the North that brought him. 5 out of his 8 million votes came from the North. People in the North voted him without a gun to their head. When Lagos, his home state, did not vote him in. So we brought him in. After 2 years, what has he done? Every other appointment is a Yoruba person, violating the constitution. There are over 300 ethnic groups in this country, but every other appointment, over 70% of his appointments are Yorubas. So he is trying to put a cliff. That's why I said in my paper, this government is reckless. This is reckless. You are trying to put a cliff between ethnic groups. You started it between religions, and now you're going between regions. Let's see if anybody in the South can control the whole of the South, and he will win election. Nobody can control the whole of the North alone and win an election. So all this twisting and turning they are doing, instead of taking care of problems they have created now, they are looking at 2027. They brought hunger in this country. They worsened insecurity. The economy has gone south. Hyperinflation in this country. You haven't taken care of this problem. You're looking at 2027. For goodness sake, what manner of man do we have as our leaders? People are dying. And the best message I saw was Tunde Bakri's message, Easter message to the president. Mr. President, listen to clerics, men of God, listen to critics that criticize you and do the right thing. 2027 is a bridge too far. We have now to take care of and do that now. Cleaving this country between North and South will get you nowhere.
All right, Prof, we want to thank you for being candid as always. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, my people, that is it. I hope you guys had everything Professor Usman Yusuf said here. The truth is that this Tinubu government is allergic to criticism. Anyone that criticizes them, they will definitely go after the person, right? So some people are kind of even blaming the Northerners, the way they are going about it, trying to take power from Tinubu, let the power go back to the North. That during Buhari time, like why we are then not using this kind of energy to criticize Buhari, like they're kind of biased and they're only after the power, not for the interest of Nigeria. If truly they have the interest of Nigerians at heart, they need to support someone from the South, especially P2B. The truth is that this Tinubu government is not doing well. Nigerians are going through a lot. Like this Tinubu government is not after governance, they are after power. And just 2 years in office, they are talking about 2027. They're all focused on 2027. Why Nigerians are dying, there is killings everywhere in Nigeria, there is hunger, like Nigerians are going through a lot, and these people don't even care. So I don't know what you think. I would love you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section about what Professor Yusuf said here. Please subscribe if you haven't shared the video and give it a like. I will see you guys in my next update. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to Shamra Seniors TV.